The WORX LANDROID VISION, a cordless robotic lawnmower with highly precise camera technology for navigation, but completely without GPS. Is this still current in 2024, or should one steer clear of this robotic lawnmower? In today's video, we'll delve into this question and take a look at the WORX Vision in a long-term review after 1 year. So let's dive right in after the intro. But if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to this channel and hit the bell to never miss a video in the future. You can find the current prices to support this channel down in the video description. Thank you very much for your support, and let's get started. It's been a year since I tested the new cordless robotic lawnmower LANDROID VISION from WORX for you. The feedback and experiences from you were enormous, but also very different. While some love their new robotic lawnmowers, they only cause problems and frustration for others. In today's video, I want to take a look with you at what has happened to the LANDROID VISION after a year, what my experience is, and whether the lawnmower is still a good choice in 2024 or not. To mention, the previous detailed review of the robotic lawnmower, if not seen yet, you can find it now in the top right here on the info card. Okay, let's start right at the beginning with the setup. Because already at this point, the Vision caused many problems last year. Let's see if WORX has improved at this point. I dismantled the robot and charging stations over the winter, like my other devices, and safely stored them in the garden shed. So it's time to dust everything off and securely mount the station back in place. This whole process takes less than 5 minutes since the major installations, such as the magnetic strip, were already done last year. After that, we can insert the battery into the robot, slide the device into the charging station to fully charge and turn it on. Everything else now happens in the LANDROID app. The first thing that I did here was to remove or unlink the LANDROID from the existing devices so that I could recheck the connection setup of the lawnmower for any complications. Since I have no, or rather an extremely weak, Wi-Fi connection in my garden, I tried to connect the lawnmower to my smartphone's hotspot. Whether smartphone or Wi-Fi router, it's crucial that the network only transmits at 2.4 GHz. Connection via the faster 5 GHz is not possible. After scanning the QR code on the underside of the battery hatch cover and entering the Wi-Fi password, the first attempt to connect to the robot failed directly. The second attempt, however, was successful, so the robot had connected to my hotspot, and I could subsequently access the device via the LANDROID app. To eliminate any errors in the old software, it's important that we install the latest firmware on our device. By default, automatic updates are enabled in the settings, so we could simply leave the device and it will pull the updates itself when there's a network connection in the charging station. Or we click on the Firmware Update tab in the app and manually initiate the process. The result is the same. The robot checks for new updates and downloads them automatically. Then the installation begins, during which the device restarted several times. The entire process, however, took about 10 minutes, and that's it. The setup thus went smoothly, and the robot is now ready for use and can resume its original task of mowing the lawn. Now, let's see what's happened with the WORX Vision regarding this. There were no difficulties so far when leaving the charging station. We can either start the robot directly via the control panel on the device or the app. Subsequently, the robot starts working through the lawn area in a chaotic manner. So, it continues straight ahead until it reaches the end of the lawn area or suspects that it has. Because of the installed camera, the lawnmower recognizes the texture of the lawn quite well and can thus distinguish where the lawn area ends or where other surfaces, such as the lawn edge, begin. This worked reliably in my test in daylight, so the robot never ended up on the sidewalk. However, it dislikes retractable sprinklers, the green cover of the valve box of my irrigation system, and larger bare patches on the lawn. These are also avoided by the robot. However, what I can positively note is that smaller brown patches in the lawn or occasional leaves are no longer recognized as obstacles. The same goes for shadows on the lawn area. The vision now drives over them without complaint. However, in rare cases, it seems as if the lawnmower would detect imaginary objects. It stops briefly, looks around, and then continues. Whereas, on the other hand, I did encounter certain problems with the magnetic strips that the robot needs for additional demarcation. In my case, our garden extends into wild grass areas on two sides. Here, the robot wouldn't stop, so I delineated those areas with the included magnetic strip last year. The problem, after a year, the magnetic strip, as you can see, has completely grown over, and the robot drove directly over it the first time. After I caught the device, I tried it again immediately and found that the signal strength was no longer sufficient to be reliably detected by the robot due to the thick moss. After exposing it again, the device recognized the demarcation as reliably as before. However, this means either removing the magnetic strip when winterizing the robot or exposing it from grass and moss at the beginning of the season. In comparison to robotic lawnmowers based on GPS-guided navigation, this can be somewhat more cumbersome and error-prone if you really have to lay many meters of magnetic strips. On the other hand, for gardens that already have a very good demarcation of the lawn area from the outset, this system can also be significantly easier. It's enough to place the lawnmower in the lawn area and start it. There's no need to define the boundary beforehand, and even if the geometry of the lawn area changes, the lawnmower adjusts automatically. Another similar ability that the Vision offers in this regard is the multi-zone management, which, however, is to be viewed critically in a certain way. Due to the lack of GPS navigation, the WORX Vision relies on these green RFID tags. The RFID tags serve as markers for the lawnmower, so it knows that it should or can change zones at that point. Either the robot goes on an exploration itself to discover the different zones, or we can scan the RFID tags with our smartphone, which has the advantage of being able to define the passages. This works reasonably well without major issues, but apparently brings certain disadvantages. Since RFID tags must always be placed exactly opposite each other and at a 90-degree orientation to the lawn area, this already creates a significant limitation for areas that, for example, are diagonally offset. Furthermore, the distance between the two tags must not exceed 6 meters. While this should suffice for the majority of use cases, if, for example, I want to connect the zone in front of and behind my house in such a way that the connection corridor also makes a bend, this is definitely no longer possible. So, for those who have many zones, possibly intricately intertwined, the Landroid Vision is not the right choice. One of the best features of the Landroid robotic lawnmowers remains obstacle detection. Even the tested predecessor models, which worked with ultrasonic sensors, excelled in extremely precise obstacle detection. The new WORX Vision relies on AI-supported camera detection instead of ultrasonic sensors, but it also excels in highly accurate obstacle detection. Last year's test already showed very good results in this regard, which I can only confirm a year later. Whether it's soccer balls, watering cans, flower pots, garden tools, or similar objects on the lawn, the lawnmower always safely detects and avoids them. Many viewers have asked me if the lawnmower also safely detects small, moving objects such as hedgehogs. I have, of course, tested this as well and can say that there are no concerns in this regard either. As you can see in this video, the hedgehog, which is of course just a decoy, is avoided without any contact. So it can be assumed that hedgehogs or small animals moving on the lawn while the Landroid Vision is mowing will not be harmed. But garden furniture is also easily detected by the WORX. The only thing I noticed, it may take a moment for the robot to maneuver out again if it's landed in smaller corners with many obstacles. Another very important feature for many users is the cut-to-edge function, in which the robot performs edge or border mowing. With last year's software, I achieved a distance of 5 to 15 centimeters from the edge during testing, which is actually quite okay. Since then, there have been some changes to the software or user interface, so the robot can now drive much closer to the edge of the lawn. In the app, it's now possible to adjust the distance to the edge for each zone from 10 to 20 centimeters in several steps. Or one can activate the borderless cutting function, where the robotic lawnmower partially drives over the lawn area toward the boundary and thus should mow without leaving any edges. However, the emphasis until now is still on should, because at the current time, although I can adjust this setting in the app, it is not implemented by the lawnmower. Whether this is a user error on my part or the software has flaws, I cannot say for sure. Nevertheless, the good thing is that the approach to borderless mowing is finally available with the WORX LANDROID Vision, so the flawless implementation in practice should not be long in coming. So, the final question arises, is the WORX LANDROID Vision still a good choice or not? In my opinion, yes. But be cautious, it's not for everyone. Due to its random mowing pattern, the camera-guided robot is suitable for rather small to medium-sized gardens that are cleanly delineated on each side, for example by a wall, a fence, or a lawn edge. For lawn areas with many unclear boundaries, such as transitioning into wild meadows, you would have to lay meters of magnetic strips. This is not only laborious, but also somewhat error-prone. In this case, I would advise against using the device. Those with multiple separate zones can also have them managed by the Landroid. The Multizone management works, but due to the RFID tags, which must always be positioned at a certain distance from each other, it's more or less restricted compared to GPS devices. So, those who choose the WORX should ideally have only one zone or directly adjacent zones. Borderless mowing is now also possible with the Landroid Vision, provided the lawn edge is level and the software works. However, with a protruding edge, as with other devices, you should expect a green strip of approximately 10 to 25 centimeters that needs to be mowed manually. The mowing result itself, on the other hand, is, as usual, very good. The random mowing pattern may not be everyone's preference and not as efficient as systematic mowing, but ultimately it still serves its purpose and is completely independent of satellite reception. What the Vision particularly excels at, however, is obstacle detection. Whether it's the delicate legs of a garden chair, forgotten toys on the lawn, or moving objects like hedgehogs, they're always reliably detected and avoided by the lawnmower's camera. So, for those who have a compact lawn area with possibly many obstacles, which has good demarcation and for whom the random mowing principle is not a problem, the WORX LANDROID Vision continues to be not a bad choice. For everyone else who has somewhat complicated gardens, I would rather advise against the Vision. There are other very good robotic lawnmowers with GPS-guided navigation that definitely meet the requirements. I've already recorded a detailed comparison video of the best wireless robotic lawnmowers. If you haven't seen it yet, I would recommend watching it again. You can find it now in the top right corner of the info card or on my channel. And that's it for this video. What's your opinion, maybe even long-term experience with the WORX LANDROID Vision? Feel free to write your feedback down in the comments. I'm curious. If you enjoyed the video, please show it with a strong thumbs up to support my work. If you haven't already, then quickly subscribe to the channel and activate the bell to not miss any future videos. You can find the current prices to support this channel in the video description. Thank you very much for your support, and with that, take care until next time. Goodbye.